morning, everybody. Let's get started. Can we get a, I guess we do the Pledge of Allegiance first, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And may we have a roll call?
Ignacio Alegre,
Here.
Deborah Bates, Brent Bisley,
Here.
David Elliott,
Here.
Marjorie Knitter,
Here.
Patrick Cortez,
Here.
Gregory Lewis,
Here.
Priscilla Lubiano, Enrique Perez, Linda Rose, Robert Ruiz,
Here.
Darren Rutledge,
Here.
Stacy Sanchez,
Here.
Barbara Smith,
Here.
Bob Tucker, Dennis Barnum, Andy Wadera.
Here.
We have quorum.
You know Linda's here, right?
Yes.
She's not here right this second. Okay, we have a pretty light load this morning. We do have our consent calendar with 3 items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent calendar?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Let's move on to our business calendar. Item number 1 is we have a couple board members who need to be reappointed. Their terms have come up. So appoint board members for a 4-year term.
So moved.
Great, thank you. Second with Linda. Okay, all those in favor of item number 4?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Moving on, item number 5, transfer funds from 2018-19 from adult to dislocated worker program. Deborah, you want to just chat with us quickly about that?
Yes. Staff is serving more dislocated workers. We are seeing an uptick in warrant notices. Not that there's a flood or a real change in unemployment, because unemployment is still about 3.4%. But they are seeing an uptick, and our formula funds for dislocated worker is less than our adult funds. The law allows boards to move monies interchangeably between adult and dislocated worker. And so staff's requesting to move funds from adult up to $250,000 to dislocated worker, so they can continue serving those that were laid off. But it requires action of the board before I submit it to EDD.
Got it. So do I have a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Great, thank you.
Second.
Excellent. All right, we have a motion on the floor to transfer the funds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, whew, that was tough. And to the business calendar. All right, now we are in keeping with our efforts to know more about our individual board members. Today we have Greg Lewis and Ignacio going to tell us a little bit about what they do. Greg, how about if you
You want me
go
to
first?
start?
If you could, just get it off your plate, you know.
Okay. You don't need to tell us you play golf 4 days a week. Well, that was the highlight. Jeez.
Do it.
I'm a CPA. I've been with the firm. I'm with LCPAs for it'll be in December 41 years, and so yeah, a long time. Our firm actually merged on January 1st of 18 with another local firm, which is LSL. So very close to the name. They're actually in Brea, so we now have 2 offices. Our office is on 4th Street. Theirs is in Brea. We had, before we merged, we had about 45 employees, 6 partners, about 45 employees. Now we've got, I think, 16 partners and about 115 employees. And so, and the reason for the merge was really just to provide more opportunity for the young people. You know, they have a bigger firm. They have, just better opportunities going forward. And so, and they're very nice people. And so it's been kind of a nice merger for us. What we do is we handle really almost exclusively entrepreneurial businesses. So the business owners, we don't do any public work at all. But so it's the entrepreneurial business. We actually came to Santa Ana. We bought a building on 4th Street in 1988. And so when we moved here, if you can picture this, we're moving into Santa Ana in 1988 when the entire financial world was moving out. Everyone was heading to Irvine. And so what happened was, with everybody moving out, we kind of forged a relationship with, in 1993 they got the enterprise zone, and so we kind of hooked up with the city of Santa Ana, and as they were attempting to bring businesses into Santa Ana, that was also perfect for us. And so we would do the enterprise zone, we would go out and market and help bring the businesses in. And if you could picture this, in order to get a business, let's say a manufacturing business, to come to Santa Ana, they were competing with Irvine and the like. And so the enterprise zone was huge, absolutely huge. And so one of my partners, Ed Lieber, who was actually very active in the Chamber of Commerce, or the chamber here in Santa Ana, and so it became. So no one in the CPA business was interested really in Santa Ana except us, and so it became. We were wildly successful. I mean, who knew? And so it's been a great relationship for us, here in Santa Ana, and continues on. And we certainly look at ourselves as a long-term partner, in the city of Santa Ana. I've been on the WIB, geez, I don't know, how long, Deborah?
Since PIC, I have to go back and look at the chart.
I don't know, maybe.
Private Industry Council.
It's certainly over 20 years, yeah, for sure. Now, one note, I am actually retiring in December. And so after 41 years with Els, and so I will be leaving the WIB here between now and then. So no time set on that. But,
I don't think that was an approved part of your presentation.
oh, okay.
You could tell I didn't vet him very well.
Exactly. But, and it's certainly been a great relationship for me, and hopefully,
Well, that gives you about 10 months to find a replacement.
Exactly right.
We'll count on you for that.
So I think I used up all my time.
Okay. Okay, Ignacio.
Hi, good morning. My name is Ignacio Legre. I am the regional manager for the California Department of Rehabilitation. This morning, I brought over two of my staff members who are going to do a small presentation on what we do. If I were to sit here and kind of talk about all the programs I oversee, I would be here all day. I don't want to bore you, and you guys got to go back to work. So I want to introduce to you Staff Service Analyst Erica Fries and my MFT counselor Rudy Villalobos, who are working currently in the high school, in local high schools. My catchment area is Santa Ana, Tustin, Orange, Huntington Beach, and Garden Grove. So these two people are working with approximately 18 high schools. Why don't you guys come up and do a little presentation on what they're doing. California Department of Rehabilitation, according to WIOA, now wants us to go into the high schools to start the early awareness. I'm sure you guys all know this, but 30% of people with disabilities only go back to work. That means 75% or 70% are still unemployed. And my job is to outreach to you fellas and to share that people with disabilities are capable. You should hire them, give them an opportunity, use us as reasonable accommodations. We will make it work. Without further ado, why don't you guys do a little presentation on what we're doing in our local high schools.
Right. In addition to that is, good morning, I'm Rudy Villalobos. I'm one of the counselors for the Department of Rehabilitation. And we work together with students with disabilities in the high schools. The WIOA, when it became a legislature, it was, the purpose of it was to reach out to the youth with disabilities and students with disabilities. And Erica and I, we were assigned to reach out to students with disabilities, SWDs. And what we do is that we go to the schools. We got Tustin Unified School District and we have Santa Ana Unified School District. It hasn't been so smooth out there because we have to deal with a lot of rules and you know, strategies and politics. The schools, they kind of took a step back and kind of doubt us about it. You know, what is it that we're going to be doing with the students? But it's been about almost a year. This April is going to be a year that we've been dealing with all these politics with the schools, and we already kind of put down the platform smoothly already to work with the students with disabilities. Students with disabilities, the ages from 16 to 21. As long as they are in the special ed in the schools districts, and they're 16 to 21, we can work with them. And the purpose of that is to reach out as many as them, because once we reach out to this stage of life development, then when they become adults, it will be much easier for them to be in the work labor, in the workforce, much easier for them as well. Now, it's not easy to work with them because I've been also saying that working with teenagers, as we all know, is a complex stage of life development. And our students, they have 4 things that we need to be aware of. One is that they are confused. You know, they don't know what's going to happen after they finish high school. They're undecided. What is it that they want to do? If they want to continue higher education, or if they want to go to work, or what is it that they're going to do? And also, they're unexperienced, okay, in the workforce. So we have to make sure that they do get some experience and get the taste of it, what is the workforce out there. And on top of all that is that they have a disability, a learning disability, any type of disability. It could be physical disabilities, talking about paralyzations, amputations, terminal illnesses, or it could be a mental disability, talking from the mental health all the way through, as you all know, and also any type of learning disabilities. So those are the students that we work for. Erica is going to show us the PowerPoint on exactly what is it that we do. Okay. Thank you.
Alright, so again, my name is Erica Frace and I am the service coordinator for Rudy. Rudy touched on a lot, but what we're trying to achieve with our students is employment, independent living, and equality. We want them to have just as many opportunities as our students who don't have disabilities in the schools. So a little bit more about the WIOA is it makes changes to the Rehabilitation Act that was a part of the 1973 and replaces the Workforce Investment Act. So I know that Rudy's touching on it a little bit, but this program does promote the competitive integrative employment. So again, making sure that our students are integrated in the setting and they have just as many opportunities for upward mobility and same pay and everything else as the individuals who do not have disabilities. So our goal for student services is to ensure that the youth and disabilities have meaningful opportunities again to receive the necessary services to prepare them and achieve employment outcome. Okay, so like Rudy was saying again, so these students are from ages 16 to 21. They're enrolled in an educational program, and then they must have the physical, mental, or cognitive disability. Another big aspect to our program is that they must be serious and they must be willing to participate in our program. We're not forcing anyone to stay with us, but this is a great opportunity, like we tell all of our students, and not everyone gets to take advantage of it. So the services that we provide include the job exploration, work-based learning, which is work experience opportunities, and then post-secondary counseling for college, work readiness, and then advocacy training for our students as well. So the job exploration, so this is go ahead and reviewing career pathways. This is looking at the in-demand industry. This is looking at administering vocational interest inventories as well. Oftentimes what we like to do is start off with the self-interest profiler. A lot of our students have no idea what they want to do. They have no idea what they're interested in, so we like to take that little quiz, the one-on-one, just to kind of see like where they would be at. A lot of the times they take it and then they get the answers and they're like, whoa, I never thought, that's actually really good because I do like working with my hands, so things like that. That's really cool. Again, this is the work-based learning, so this is the actual work experience. Right now we don't have the job coaching for, let's say, more demanding disabilities. However, right now we're partnered with Goodwill, and they do an amazing job placing our students. So it can be, a lot of people think it's only within the Goodwill industry, but actually they can go ahead and place our students outside of the Goodwill as well. So that's pretty cool. Sometimes they offer to go ahead and place our students within this Santa Ana Zoo, or a movie theater, or a library, things like that. So the enrollment counseling, so this is helping them prepare for college. So a lot of the times our students want to go ahead and either start off at a community college or they want to go straight to a four-year. We do encourage them to go to the community college first, get that certification, take those steps necessary to go ahead and move upward within the college realm. So the workplace readiness, so this has actually changed a little bit with us. So right now, the student services is also focusing on SSI and SSDI benefits as well for students who are currently receiving that. So this is making sure, a lot of the times our families are really hesitant about maybe allowing our students to go participate in a work experience because they're afraid they're going to lose their benefits or it's going to impact them in some way. But we go ahead and we encourage the students that no, you can work, you can still receive benefits, and you're going to be getting pay on top of that. So that's really cool for the students to learn that, and the families as well. It kind of eases that stress and takes a load off their shoulders. Okay, and then our last one is self-advocacy. So this is really important for our students. A lot of the times our students have no idea how to get the required accommodations that they might need, let's say in college or at work as well. So we go ahead and teach them how to appropriately ask for these accommodations, how to share with their employer their disability in a more positive way. So we like say ability versus disability to go ahead and motivate them that they can do whatever they put their mind to as well. So as Ignacio was saying, our districts that we're serving are very spread out. Right now we're focusing more so on the Santa Ana and Tustin, but we are very flexible in the areas that we go ahead and participate in as well. And that is it. Do you have any questions?
So, I was glad to hear, are we doing questions?
Yes.
About the Goodwill connection, because I think that makes a lot of sense. Pathways, you mentioned, is there any connection, or maybe this is kind of out of the box or whatever, with like the Orange County Department of Ed with their whole Pathways program that they have?
I'm not too familiar with that. Did you want to chime in?
I didn't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Well, Orange County Department of Ed has a whole Pathways program. Linda, you're familiar with it, right, too? And I didn't know if there was any kind of potential connection or needs to be a connection here with what you're doing on the with disabilities and what they're doing within the high schools.
Actually, it was
with
a great
Pathways.
idea. We
Yeah.
weren't aware of that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So
it's
Orange
something
County
interesting.
Department of Ed, Jeff Pittenberger heads that up. You
Okay.
might want to make a connection with that, just so that, because you're working with, it's the same kids, or should be the same kids, because they're working with all the school districts.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank
And
you for that.
and they're also working with the community colleges too, right, Linda, with that?
That's great.
So that might just be another resource for you guys. So that's Orange County Department of Ed, Jeff Pittenberger.
Perfect, thank you.
We'll note that down. Thank you so much.
there you go. See, that's one of the whole reasons why we try to do this, is to draw attention to what each other does so that we can form better partnerships and stronger bonds working.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well then, without any further ado, we have our next presentation today on the census. Mr. Nguyen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate your attention, and good morning, members of the board. I'm Val Nguyen with the U.S. Census Bureau. So we're on the road to 2020, and I'm sure you've heard before, and you can follow along in the color or black and white PowerPoint hard copies in the packet as well. Feel free to take notes. I'm sure you've heard before, our model, we count everyone once, only once, and in the right place. So it's a point in time count that happens in our country every 10 years. But why do we do it? Anybody know why? Well, it's required by the U.S. Constitution. It's right up front in Article 1, Section 2, before it talks about the different branches of government. So this is really the basis of our democracy and the basis of our government. And it's been happening every 10 years since 1790. It's about fair representation as well. You've heard, I'm sure, about reapportionment that determines how many seats each state receives in the U.S. House of Representatives. And in California, after 2010, California remained at 53. There was no change. Just for comparison, Texas gained 4, New York and Ohio each lost 2. So it's about political power. It is also about money. Approximately $675 billion awarded annually to vital services and programs in the United States. And on your left-hand side, you see the study in the pocket. You see the study from George Washington University. California receives about $76 billion annually, and that comes out to be about $2,000 annually per person counted. Underline, bold, italicized, counted. So, as you know, it's also about redistricting for supervisorial districts, for example, water districts, school boards that go by trustee areas, city councils that go by district elections. They're probably going to have to reevaluate and hire those demographers again and maybe change their boundaries a little bit. And of course, the state legislative districts as well as our congressional districts. So those 3 things: power, money, and locally in California, I mentioned the dollar amounts already, and some studies put it higher. The George Washington study is what we have here in front of you. I've seen studies where they say it's about $800 billion annually. And I want to emphasize and make it very clear that your data is confidential. And that the data that comes out of the Census Bureau to anybody is only in statistical format. So no one from the Bureau itself does not share any personally identifiable information with any federal agency or the United States President. So data can be received from other federal agencies, for example, from ICE or from Homeland Security, from the IRS for administrative records, but no data is sent out, so it's a one-way street. Everybody who works for the U.S. Census Bureau has taken a lifetime oath to protect that information, and there are strict penalties for that. Those working at the cities, at the local level, for land update in the community economic development departments that traditionally work with code enforcement, when they work with the census, they also take that same oath, and they do not share respondents' information with code enforcement or any law enforcement. And there are strict penalties for them as well. It may be a Spurgeon. I'll just continue on mine. such important information and decided to freeze. So in 2020, next year, we're 1 year out. Folks will be able to respond online and by phone for the first time. And that means we're 1 year out, so it's, gear up time, right? Especially to partner with all of you as community leaders. I'll take this opportunity to thank you for your service to the community. So it's a lot easier, but at the same time, it's new. So we really have to get the word out. So folks will be able to respond online and by phone in 12 languages in addition to English. And a paper form will be available as well, and that will only be available in Spanish and English. So in addition to our partnership program, which we're partnering with Santa Ana College, Dr. Rose has been instrumental in helping us bring our community together to get the word out. We're also going to send out a lot of mail to the homes, and that includes a pre-assigned ID. However, folks don't need that pre-assigned ID. All it does is it pre-populates the form field, whether by phone or online. So if folks are living in a not-to-code dwelling and they didn't get a pre-assigned ID, we still want them to respond. If folks are homeless and they're at a shelter or out on the streets, we still want the community to help them respond, whether at the public library or wherever else. So those languages for the online and telephone, the non-English languages include Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Russian, Arabic, Tagalog, Polish, French, Haitian Creole, Portuguese, and Japanese. And there are other languages available in a 59-language glossary card and ID card, which we're partnering with nonprofit community organizations that are serving those linguistic communities. So, the hard-to-count population, that's what we're really focusing on. And those include the folks that you serve here for the Workforce Development Board. Many of you have your constituents, and some of them overlap. Veterans, homeless, children under 5. I also put a one-pager on children under 5 and how they're undercounted, or there's a lack of response of families that have children under 5. Some of them live in multiple households due to custody arrangements, etc. Some kids, some folks are pregnant and they give birth and they just forget. Sometimes the kid is still in the hospital. They count, and they need to be counted. Because as you looked at that George Washington University study, a lot of those vital programs and resources that help children under 5, like early childhood education, Head Start, etc., WIC, it depends on the census numbers. So we want to get an accurate count so that our kids are served. Senior citizens, people with disabilities, thank you to DOR for your presentation on students with disabilities. Certainly a hard to count population there. Some of the dollars that help kids with disabilities depend on a census count as well. Renters, the foreign-born immigrant population, also known as undocumented individuals. Farm workers, migrant workers, Native Americans, Native Hawaiians, and other Pacific Islanders. Refugees, those who come from governments that they did not trust, just people who don't trust government in general, and those who are limited English proficient. So I also want to, I wanted to show you something, but let's see. There's also an example of what we call Rome in the, do you mind if I go onto your internet, Erica?
No, yeah.
Okay, cool. If you go to census.gov/ROAM, oh, just kidding. Never mind. Let's ignore this. I'll borrow you this. All right. If you go and there's a guide to go onto Rome on the left-hand pocket as well. And Rome is a tool so you can look at what areas in your community have low response scores. So the darker the blue means that more people did not respond. So when you think about the money and the political power, that means that the community is not being represented, but also we're hurting in those areas. So when you go onto that website, census.gov/ROAM, you can see additional demographic data from the American Community Survey. what percentage does not speak English well, and what language they speak, how many rental units are there, multiple housing units, etc. So you can target your campaign to those communities, and you'll know how to do that as well. So you'll know to do it in Spanish, for example, or in Tagalog, or Vietnamese. And you can also use that to identify whom you're already serving, right? All right. So we're encouraging folks to join what we call complete count committees. And complete count committees are already forming in the state. The County Board of Supervisors will kick off their complete count committee on Tuesday, April 16th at their regular 9 a.m. meeting. I'll be there. But many of you as well, I know you're on a lot of boards and you're very busy people, but I'd like to encourage you to get in touch with me so that we can identify what city you live in, as I work with cities with populations of 100,000 or more, and also smaller cities, so that, thank you, Erica. Oh, it's okay. Everyone has a PowerPoint. So that we get representation on those complete count committees, so that we advise the cities on how to reach out, right? As you imagine, you know, $2,000 a person not counted, we're losing out on. That's a lot every year, right? So I just want to show you this application real quick. It's a great tool to use. So I open it up in a separate window. This blue box tells you that the darker blue means that there are more people who did not respond. Let's take a look at Santa Ana, California. Just put in the city up in this box in the left-hand corner. And there's Santa Ana. Do we see a lot of dark blue? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. Let's just click on this particular census tract here. So the American Community Survey is a more in-depth survey of the U.S. Census Bureau. It's not the decennial, which happens every 10 years, which is only a head count, really. So you see that the median household income in this, and that's household income, is $26,400. There's about 12% of the population under 5, 12% 18 to 24, about 10% 65 and over, 36.7 are below the poverty level. Almost 60% did not graduate high school. 87% are Hispanic. 5% Asian. Over 53% are foreign born. And remember the hard to count population. There's a lot of overlap here. So this Santa Ana needs a lot of help.
So a quick question. On the demographic data is fine, but as it relates to the actual count of bodies, that data is well and good, but that data, I don't see the connection between that data and the count, the actual count.
Well, yeah, this data is actually compiled from the American
ACS
Community
survey,
Survey
yeah.
in addition. Yeah. So it helps give us an accurate estimate
Estimate
of the demographics.
but not of the number of people that, when you say it's on Rome, it's this is an area in dark blue, right? Where there's not as many people. It's difficult to count area, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has a low response score.
Low
limited
response.
Yeah.
Okay, low response. So not a lot of people in those blue areas respond to the agent coming out or the census person coming out.
Sure.
Okay.
Or return their form.
I'm just trying to connect
Wait,
the two from
it gives
the
us
data
an-
you just talked about
Did you have a question?
and the count.
I think it gives us an idea of who we're not counting. I think
Okay.
that's where this is going.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does. It gives us an idea of who was accounted. So we look at the housing units, and the multi-unit housing is 62% of this area. Family occupied housing units with children under 6 is about 40%, right? And the estimate here for the low response score is 31%. That means that 31% was estimated not responding to the 2010 census.
And on that particular, that has zero to do from my point of view, of the data on there. The 31% that didn't respond versus the two are not mutually inclusive. They're actually exclusive, I think.
Okay, well, I'm sure the statisticians at the U.S. Census Bureau would
that's just my
disagree with you.
observation.
But anyway, this is a great tool to use. Thank you very much, Mr. Varnum, for your participation. We are also encouraging folks to join us complete count committees, right? And that means that on the slide that has the table right here, usually cities would have the highest elected official be the chair or their designee be the chair, and then have a diverse group. So those that have influence in the community, including trusted voices in the faith community, in schools, certainly you all, if you're interested in joining a complete count committee, it'll be really important to have a critical and a really good idea of what the community you're representing, to be at the table, really, right? To develop those strategies to reach out to everybody. So we're in the middle of our education and awareness phase right now, and folks will be able to respond starting March of next year. And if they don't respond by mid-April, we'll have someone in the field coming down the street with a tablet. And if you are someone who did not respond and you see them down the street, just hop on your phone or on the internet, respond, and it'll take you off of their list right away. Right? So, in addition to the complete count committees as one of our strategies, we're also partnering with community nonprofits and social service organizations that serve their hard to count. So if you have ideas, please contact me of who I should reach out to, or if you yourself represent that organization. Certainly faith-based community organizations that serve the hard to count, those that serve the foreign-born immigrant community. We're also bringing stats into schools. You can go to census.gov/schools. There is a curricula available for all subjects, all grade levels. Also partnering with the media and ethnic media, having mobile response tables when it's time to respond to the census starting next year. Partnering with those who are influencers in the community, and of course thanking everybody for partnering with the Bureau for this massive undertaking that happens every 10 years. So I want to highlight what's happening right now in Orange County. We're opening up 2 field offices, one in the city of Santa Ana. Don't know where yet, I'll let you know if you contact me. And the other will be in the city of Fullerton. And we're hiring 1,620 positions for Orange County. Yes, it's a massive undertaking. That's why we're encouraging everyone to get into the pool now, get into the applicant pool today. You have to be a U.S. citizen, pass a background check, do fingerprinting. So the onboarding process takes a while when you have that many people, right? And that's just Orange County. So imagine what's happening nationwide in our state. So please direct folks to go on to 2020 census.gov/jobs for those 2020 census jobs. There's a preference for veterans. I want to share that with you, and that's a real thing for those who have served our country. And for those who are looking for census jobs in general, or other government jobs, please go to usajobs.gov. They're hiring statisticians, media specialists, IT folks, geographers, surveyors, all kinds of folks. So I'd like, Madam Chair and members of the board, if you all would help us generate community readiness, because I know each of you have your own social media. So if everyone takes out their phone right now and follows the U.S. Census Bureau and shares that information on jobs, we post something about jobs practically every day. We also post information about confidentiality on how the information cannot be used against the public. So we really need to get the word out on this, because as you know, there's another conversation that's happening outside this room, in the media, in communities, that's generating a lot of fear and concern. And that fear and concern translates to the dollars not coming to our state. It also translates to our state potentially losing political power. So that's a real concern for all of us, right? Because I'm not just a federal employee, I'm also a Californian at the end of the day. So thank you so much, Madam Chair, members of the board, for your attention and your time, and thank you, Erica, for setting it up. Any questions? Yes.
So are the complete count committees, is that something new this census that they've not done in the past?
No, that happens every census.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want me to take a look at our records
No, I'm
for
just
any
curious.
city, I can do that too. So I have a complete record of everything that's done in the past for the U.S. Census Bureau. Yes,
What's the age range that you guys hire from?
from 18.
18 and up.
Yeah.
Now, give you my card.
Sure, and my card's in the folder. Thank you so much, Mr. Elliott.
So let me know. We can help you.
Great. Oh, absolutely. I'd love to come present to your members as well. Any other questions?
Are these temporary jobs or they're permanent?
So they're temporary and they're flexible. I forgot to mention the pay. It pays around $20 an hour for field and about $15 an hour for the office positions.
That's great.
So pretty good, right? Hopefully we're gonna have a recruiting event at Santa Ana College next week.
Yeah, March
And
27th.
March 27th, and hopefully we'll get a lot of students and community members in general who are interested in helping this massive effort in our community. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm applying.
You're right.
No committee reports today?
No.
Comments, public comments? Staff?
Yes. Briefly, thank you to those who were able to attend the board member retreat with the 3 boards. We'll get you out the summary notes of that and next steps. I think you'll see the 3 staff will probably ask to convene the 3 boards maybe twice a year at least. Talk about regional work, the work that's being done with the sector initiatives. Last week we did hold a manufacturing sector initiative in concert with North Orange County and North Orange County ROP, and they'll have follow-up meetings. Of course, labor came up, which we all knew, labor and training, and have those businesses start to articulate what specifically they need in those training areas. Also, the 3 boards submitted a joint grant application for prison to employment. We're waiting for the state results on that. It's the first time the governor has put money into it from the general fund. So this will be general funded grants to serve those that have been recently incarcerated or released. So we'll keep you posted on that. Nothing else at this time.
Thank you. Any board member comments? Anybody have something to announce?
Any retirements?
We would like early warning on that.
At least a year. He did good.
Close. Okay, so our next meeting is for May 16th. That's quite a ways off, so plenty of warning there. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.